Wars 2, the highest DPS class is ranked. Looking to deal out the most damage in Guild Wars 2, these classes are top for DPS. Damage is key when it comes to defeating enemies and tricky bosses. For MMOs like Guild Wars 2, you typically need someone to play one of 3 roles: tank, DPS, and the healer. Already, I can tell this is written by someone who doesn't play Guild Wars 2. The tank stops damage from getting to the rest of the group. The healer keeps the tank of the DPS alive. And the DPS takes down the enemy as quickly as they can. They are Minutemen, those DPS. Guild Wars 2, easy teams already at. In Guild Wars 2, these roles work a bit differently. Oh, here we go. Rather than being assigned a role, along with the class you pick, you will start the game with the skills of all 3. This allows you to progress through the world by yourself, as you have good DPS and armor, as well as a healing ability, or 2. I don't know of anyone who has 2. High DPS comes in handy when you are doing PvP or World v World content, so it's important to choose a good class and specialization capable of dealing high amounts of damage. Here, you can find every class ranked in terms of DPS. Oh, this should be good. This should be good. Note, overall, it's important to keep in mind that all of these classes can have high DPS. It depends on your build and playstyle. All right, so right here, there's a note that the entire rest of this could mean nothing. The entire rest of this could mean absolutely nothing. Updated January 19th, 2023. We've updated this list to include every class in Guild Wars 2 in a ranked style. Additionally, we have emphasized that there is no right choice because Guild Wars 2 lets you play however you want. So a second sentence that says, please don't think too hard, all of this may be wrong. Number 9, Engineer. Are you out of your mind? Are you serious? So chat, for those who don't know, Harvest Temple Challenge Mode was recently cleared by a group using only core classes. And you know what they filled up on for DPS? Engineers. Because Engineer was godlike among all core classes for absurd DPS, and did more DPS than most elite specs of other classes. And they've got it as the worst thing. They literally might have the number 1 thing as the number 9 thing. First on our list, we have the Engineer. This core class is a great choice, but overall average in terms of DPS. Is this an old article? No, there was a date earlier. Updated 3 days ago. Yeah, ancient article. Quite versatile with its special is, let's see. Instead, it just means if you're aiming for best DPS, you may want to choose another class or read another article. The Engineer is quite versatile with specializations, but the core classes leave something to be desired. The core class? It's above all the other 8s. The toolkit isn't practical for dealing high amounts of damage. And why are you focused on the toolkit? Hold on a sec. Yeah, chat, this whole class, because of the toolkit, specifically the toolkit here, it's all bad. There's this toolkit here, and this is all bad. It's all bad. It isn't practical for dealing high amounts of damage, and many players blast through this core profession in order to pick a specialization. Warrior, the 8th worst. Specialization, Berserker, Spellbreaker, Blades one. Warrior's a classic class. A classic class in any MMORPG, but in Guild Wars 2 it acts more as a tank. What? What are you talking about? Warriors, I cannot remember the last time I saw a warrior tank anything in this game. If you were playing as a solo warrior, it may be hard to have a versatile build. Sure, there are banners that you can place, but if you are focusing... yes, solo banners. But if you're focusing on DPS and killing enemies, you may not place one. What is that sentence? There are banners, but if you're playing, you may not place banners. Overall, like the Engineer, warriors are average. With the elite specialization of the warrior, you can deal some serious damage. But again, there is not much versatility. What is this? It's an article that Noxxi wrote or something. Mesmer. Specialty chronometer. I'm just checking this for typos. Next up, we have the Mesmer class. 7th from the top, chat. Terrible class. It's a rather complicated class to play, but can be filled with buffs to tear down enemies if you know how to play the role. Unlike other classes, which cannot be buffed, chat. In terms of elite specializations, Chronomancer is a great choice for damage buffs and control, with skills like Time Warp or Well of Calamity. It just randomly plucks 2 of them. Even if you aren't aiming for high DPS, Mesmer is great for teleporting others. Yeah, where they don't want to go, based on most of the Mesmers I know. Many players create a Mesmer for the sole purpose of using it to lead groups with people who may not have a mount yet. Yeah, I know a couple of people who did that. Okay, yeah, I know like a couple of, that led like hero point trains. I know a few people that led like hero point trains and they made a Mesmer for it, but that's like two people. Necromancer, Reaper Scourge Harbinger. Necromancers are the ultimate minion class. If having a horde of minions surrounding you is appealing, then the Necromancer is a great choice. Unfortunately, not every build is viable for this class. For example, if you play as the Scourge specialization with a staff, then you will have 1 main attack and 4 marks that can be placed on the ground, as opposed to any other specialization with the staff, where their skills are completely different. Playing any class with too many AoE status conditions can be a bit boring. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. Necromancer may be near the bottom of our list, but it is really brought to the spotlight in terms of DPS with the Reaper specialization. Why did they even say Scourge here? For example, if you play as the Scourge spec with the staff, and then they talk about staff skills and don't mention Scourge at all. Why? And no, what do you mean, maybe boring? No one plays Necro that thinks dots are boring, okay?
Shut up, Bram. I don't even
We like watching the light fade from their eyes, all right? Oh my gosh. All right, 5th. This is the number 5 out of 9, chat. This is the most middle ground class in the game. Introducing the Guardian. Specializations: Dragon Hunter, Firebrand, Willbender. The Guardian class was previously considered the best for DPS. It can do some ridiculous damage and is a particularly enjoyable class to play. While it may occupy the top spot after some recent updates, this Paladin-like class is still capable of holding the team together and getting rid of the enemy without much trouble. The DPS of your Guardian really depends on the elite specialization that you choose. For example, the Dragon Hunter specialization is good, but not as powerful as the Firebrand, which has a variety of high damage attacks and support skills. It's true, once people unlock Firebrand, they never play Dragon Hunter again, ever. It's a direct downgrade. This is actually the first part I think wasn't written by AI. Every part of this is absolutely true. Elementalist, 4th from the top. Specializations: Tempest Weaver Catalyst. It may surprise a lot of players to see the Elementalist this high on our list. But this class is a force to be reckoned with. The Elementalist can cycle between 4 different elements, combining attacks and buffing their own DPS, unlike other classes who cannot buff their own DPS. The Catalyst specialization takes the cake in terms of Elementalist DPS. Say DPS again. This spec wields a hammer. It can be swung around the battlefield, as well as Jade Sphere that can be placed to cause effects depending on the current attuned element. Overall, Elementalists can be overlooked, but they can stand on their own quite well. What is this sentence? What? It's like they just took random factoids from the Elementalist class and just like threw them in a blender. I don't even know what kind of feedback to give about this. This is just incredible. All right, Revenant. Specializations: Herald, Renegade, Vindicator. While the Ranger or Mesmer may be a little complicated. I love my Ranger. No one, including me, has ever called Ranger complicated. While the Ranger or Mesmer may be a little complicated, yeah, I got a big old wrinkly brain, shut. These classes are nothing compared to the Revenant. It's recommended that only seasoned players try out this class, since it's particularly challenging to maximize damage. Nevertheless, playing the Renegade specialization will bring you a little closer to assuming the role you're looking for. Add in some Shiro spirits and some useful elements, and you'll be taking down enemies with ease. Yeah, because Revenants get so much control over their build template, right? They just go in there, we'll just like take a little bit of Shiro, a little bit of elements, and just throw some of this on there. Yeah, just season it up, kick it up a notch, no big deal. Certain elements, such as impossible odds or Ice Razor's ire, can give you that edge above other DPS players, and will increase your output on more than one occasion with little impact on the battle. Wait, what? Increase your output on more than one occasion with little impact on the battle. It requires careful building, but this class is more than capable of dealing some devastating damage. What is it? Was it that Freak would say at a Riot all the time? He'd be like, huge damage or something like that. I'm trying to remember his exact phrase, but I'm reminded of him right now. All right, let's read about a more tons of damage. Thank you. That's it. Let's read about a complicated class now, chat. Ranger. Specializations. Druid, Soul Beast, and Untamed. The Druid Ranger class is one of the best healers in Guild Wars 2. Someone link this article to Mela right now. And all those people that hated on my Druid guide, show them that this AI has my back. We're on the same team here. We know what's up. Complicated class, best healer, chat. It would be easy to just assume that this class is mainly for healing and won't serve too well for any real damage. This is what makes this game so unique. No matter what class you choose, there's a DPS variant. There's a DPS variant of Druid? Let's keep reading. To get a good DPS Ranger, you need to choose Soul Beast. Holy crap. Druid Ranger's the best healer. You may think it's only for healing and can't do damage. That's what makes this unique. There's always a DPS option. Change class. Oh my god, these trolls. It's worth mentioning that this build ignores the range style of the class and instead thrives off melee attacks through the use of pets, precision, and powerful skills. Wait, what? The next time in PvP that a Soul Beast merges to get rid of their pet and then uses their longbow with Sikkim and One Wolf Pack and just deletes me, my last words are gonna be, "You're not thriving off your melee potential." Focus on Sikkim and Spike Trap. Christ. Alright, Spike Trap in PvP does 52 bleeding damage. Chat, they took the damage away from Spike Trap in PvP like 6 months ago. In PvE, it's Condi. And it's no power at all. And by the way, Sikkim is power and does not scale with Condi. So they're like, focus on power skill and Condi or 0 damage skill. Is this a Celestial Soul Beast? What is this? Which allows your pets to join in the fight and trap the enemy for your allies to hurt. It's a complicated class to play, but well worth it for the power. Oh my god, I love it. I love it. Number one in the whole game. The Thief. I knew it all along, chat. I knew it all along. Specializations. Daredevil, Deadeye, Spectre. Typically, when it comes to finding a good DPS class in Guild Wars 2, it all depends on how important the strengths and weaknesses of what that class are, and if it's worth the effort. You can almost guarantee that the Thief class is well worth it, because it easily does the most amount of damage in the game. Well, pack it up, boys. No more math nerds are needed here. We have our answer. It is also a fantastic class to play, no matter what specialization you go for. For example, the Spectre path can be particularly useful for raids, something this class thrives in. When it comes to skills, your priorities should be Signet of Agility, no matter the build. Every single build, Signet of Agility. The end. To enhance your precision and endurance, and Shadowfall, which helps with crowd control and increases your effectiveness. While the Thief thrives on single targets and suffers a little with multiple enemies. The damage output makes it very much worth trying out. During Halloween, many players bring out their thieves to run through the Mad King's Labyrinth. This class is great for tagging multiple enemies, allowing you to gain as much experience as possible. So they pull out an example that's usable once per freaking year and use that for their number one. I'm going to be a little harsh here. This doesn't look like you play Guild Wars. This looks like a bunch of random information from the wiki was fed into an AI tool, and it tried to write a script. Very little of this makes any sense. Okay, well, chat, you know what? If anything, I'm glad the mystery is solved. People constantly ask me, like, what I want to do damage, what class should I play? And now I know to always say Thief.